which is Miguel trying to travel to his dad and Johnny trying to stop him. All the while, Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai are building up their rivalry, and Terry Silver would figure out that Daniel has some backup. And things are looking a little bad for Cobra Kai, as Tori is aware of Terry, and Terry Silver for sure would be hard on Robbie because he didn't win, and he just got his relationship with his father fixed. So imagine when he figures out that Terry Silver was the one who jumped Johnny. And on top of this, we have the stuff with Kenny being consumed by the Cobra Kai ideology, which is also affecting Robbie. I think Terry's a little desperate for some Cobra Kai recruits, and this is the perfect time to finally release Sean and finally get him in the show, as the show is now past the All Valley, which takes place during May. And we know that Sean is going to come out during the summer. So if this season takes place even a few weeks after the All Valley, there's a very great chance of Sean returning. Now, while that's going on and Robbie being set up to leave Cobra Kai, Miguel obviously is after his dad and Johnny is still pursuing him. I think this arc should take place around the first half of season 5. At most, it should take place up to 5 episodes, but I would honestly prefer like 4. And honestly, I just want this arc to be Miguel and Johnny redefining their whole relationship and what got them here since the beginning. I just want this arc to mainly redefine Johnny and Miguel's relationship, because this was the main focus for the past 4 seasons. Robbie and Johnny just fixed their relationship, and now Miguel is trying to fix his relationship with his dad. But the main message I want to get across is that he doesn't need to do that, as Johnny is already here for him. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Miguel is still like a son to him. And overall, I just really don't care about Miguel's dad enough to really say, I want Miguel to meet his dad and go through this whole thing of like wanting to be with him. I don't want that at all. I want Miguel to realize straight away that his dad doesn't give 2 fucks about him and that he needs to get back to where he was, which is where his real parent is, that being Johnny. Maybe Miguel's dad can like fart on him, maybe beat him up, but then Johnny comes in to save him, and Miguel and Johnny just have this heart-to-heart, with Johnny realizing his mistakes and apologizes for that one night. Miguel would then question what is he talking about, but Johnny remembered in season 4 what he said to him and how he was talking about specifically Robbie. He regrets that happening, and he tells Miguel that no matter what, he is always going to be here and he's always going to have his best interest at heart, calling back to the scene in season 2 where Johnny tells Miguel about his past. In the end, Miguel understands, and these two would get out of New Mexico to try and go back to Reseda. Now, by the time they come back, things are going to be looking already very different. For one, Chosen has arrived. 2, Terry Silver is at his lowest, and 3, Robbie probably leaves Cobra Kai around this point. Now, I think when Robbie leaves Cobra Kai, he would still try to keep into contact with Tori, but Terry Silver would just take this and use it to manipulate Tori against Robbie along with the likes of Kenny and Sean. Terry, feeling almost desperate, decides to call for help, and the last scene we would get in the first half is him saying, "Yeah, I'm desperate here. Why do you think I'm calling you? Whatever amount of money, whatever amount of dojos you want, it doesn't matter. You can have it. I just need you to finish LaRusso once and for all." So what do you say, Barnes? Let's team up like old times. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. I think the next best move for Cobra Kai is to them to introduce Mike Barnes. Since Chosen is already a pretty powerful being for Terry to now go up against, alongside with Daniel and Johnny, now he needs some backup of his own, and who better to call than the most aggressive student in the arts of Cobra Kai, and also the same man that striked fear into Daniel's heart. Having Mike Barnes here would influence the other children to cause more havoc, which I think would ignite some conflict, specifically from the girl and Eagle Fang against Piper, and maybe stuff with like Nate and Bert, or maybe Assface and Chris taking on Kenny and Sean, and Kyler bullying Dimitri, which I think in this season we need Dimitri to beat Kyler's ass. In season 3, Miguel did it, in season 4, Hawk did it, and now season 5, Dimitri is the only nerd left who hasn't done it. And also for Kenny, I think he's just going to be embracing the Mike Barnes style along with Sean, which would force the likes of Eli and Robbie and the other top tiers to actually be concerned, since Sean alone was scrapping with season 3 Robbie, and now he's learning the aggressive Cobra Kai style, the maximum aggression he could potentially learn because he's learning under Mike Barnes. Now the Cobra Kai kids just fight really dirty, all with the exception of Tori, who is still trying to find honor in this fighting style, but Terry says how no honor really exists, and that it's a matter of life and death, not winning or losing. However, I think Sam and Amanda would also be trying to reach out to Tori, similarly to how Daniel and Johnny were reaching out to Robbie, and in the end, somehow, someway, Tori is definitely turning good, similarly to how Hawk did. I think the final fight is going to be happening similarly to how season 3 was, so the kids are going to be having their own scrap, and the adults are going to be having their own scrap. With the kids, I think it is a little obvious that they are going to win. However, maybe have Sean beat up a couple of people, maybe beat up Eli, so the victory isn't just a one-way streak. which I think would be pretty interesting because it's always been Cobra Kai or Miyagi-Do, who's gonna win? Why not just have these groups actually just beat the dog shit out of each other? With the last few opponents being Robbie, Miguel, and then Sean. Sam and Tori would be there, but I think they would just be dealing with their beef right now. And Miguel and Robbie have no other choice but to come together to actually take on Sean. And similarly to how Johnny and Daniel took on Kreese, the two would actually work together pretty well since they both now have similar styles, with both of them having knowledge on Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do. And this time Miguel is not succumbing to no injury. He's going to land the tornado kick on Sean, while Robbie would land the double-legged kick. This wombo combo would overwhelm Sean, however it would fatigue Robbie and Miguel, and as Sean is knocked out, Miguel and Robbie fall to the ground. And while that happens, the adults would be facing off against the likes of Terry and Mike Barnes, or at least trying to reach Terry Silver, and just like how Johnny in season 4 got jumped by Terry, Daniel would get jumped by the likes of Mike Barnes and Terry, but Johnny and Chosen would come in to save him. Chosen and Johnny, I think, should interact with Terry, as Johnny and Chosen are basically the same type of character, except for one is training in Miyagi-Do and one isn't. So I think it would be cool to have these two interact and them just kicking Terry's ass, who they both dislike. And as for Daniel and Mike Barnes, well, I think it's just self-explanatory. Having these two fight alone is obviously a callback to Karate Kid 3, and Daniel, who now isn't being submitted to fear, and I mean, this fight is self-explanatory. It's a callback to Karate Kid 3, but this time Daniel is not submitting to fear. However, Daniel would realize that Mike Barnes is way stronger than he gives him credit for. Like, Daniel can't even get one solid hit in, and Mike Barnes is pummeling Daniel into the ground, reminding Daniel of that fear he once felt in Karate Kid 3. And Mike would just be laughing, saying, "Where's the old man?" But as Daniel gets enraged and tries to fight him, Mike easily puts him back into the ground, saying that aggression was not always his strong suit. However, Chosen would then come in saying, "It is mine though," as Chosen would then land a pressure point blow on Mike Barnes, and now Chosen and Daniel would do a little quick wombo combo to put Mike Barnes onto the ground. However, Mike is not even close to being done, and he's just getting warmed up. And as for Silver, well, Johnny would be beating his ass thanks to the likes of Chosen helping him out, and now he could just completely dog walk Silver. However, Mike Barnes alone is the strongest adult in Cobra Kai up to this point, and due to Chosen already suffering injuries against Terry and Daniel already being injured, these two students of Miyagi-Do would be pummeled into the ground. Mike Barnes and Terry actually win their final fight, and Johnny, Daniel, and Chosen are left to die. However, obviously they're not dead, but the season does end with all three of them on the ground, and the screen just fades to black. I think this type of ending would be unique in Cobra Kai, as Cobra Kai hasn't really won, or the antagonist side of the show, which we really haven't had a clear antagonist, but now we do. So having them win, which is not a thing in the Karate Kid verse at all, would be pretty interesting to see happen. And it also gives us enough stuff to set up for the next season. You know, maybe we can add in Julie, who really